Minecraft is one of those legendary games that almost everyone has heard of, and it's one of the most played games in the world. Not just because it's popular, but because it can run on almost anything. Even a pocket computer can play it. So that got me wondering, can a cheap handheld game console actually run one of the most iconic games ever made? But there was one problem. I didn't actually own a handheld gaming console, which meant I had to buy one. So first I went on Amazon and searched for the exact keyword, handheld console. And wow, there were so many results. Different designs, different prices. Some of them looked insanely futuristic, like tiny gaming PCs from the future. Unfortunately, my wallet did not agree with those options. So I lowered the budget to under $50 and kept searching. And trust me, there were a lot of cheap models. Some were even around 20 bucks. But honestly, most of them looked more like children's toys than actual gaming devices. And yeah, I already knew most of them were knockoff products. Realistically, the only thing I could do with those would be playing old retro games, and I didn't want to waste money on something that couldn't achieve my goal. But eventually, I found something that actually fit my budget. So let's unbox it and see what I bought. And here it is. Our main character, the R36S. Inside the box, there's also a charging cable and a user manual. I bought this thing for just $28, and the version I got comes with 64 gigabytes of storage. Alright, let's turn it on and see what happens. Huh, that's weird. The device showed absolutely nothing on the screen. At this point, I was genuinely confused about how this thing even works, so I started reading the manual, and then I discovered something very important. This handheld literally cannot boot without a micro SD card installed. And of course, mine didn't come with one, which meant I now had to buy two separate micro SD cards. One card for the operating system, and another one just for storing games. Before we dive into the main topic, let me give you my first impressions of this thing, and I have to admit, it looks pretty cool. The transparent shell gives it a surprisingly nice appearance, especially for such a cheap device. It fits comfortably in the hand, and it weighs about 0.45 pounds. What I like is that it doesn't feel like one of those super light toy consoles. It actually has some weight to it. As for the buttons, they're decent. Not premium by any means, but not terrible either. Then I noticed something really confusing. The box clearly says R36S, but when I looked at the manual, it was labeled GB20S instructions. Now that's interesting. The RGB20S is a handheld made by Powkitty. So what's going on here? Well, devices like the R36S often borrow ideas from popular handhelds that already have a proven design. Whether it's the shell, the layout, or even the documentation. It helps manufacturers reduce research and development costs and get products to market much faster. And that's pretty common in the world of ultra-budget Chinese handheld consoles. So my R36S experience started off not great. To be honest, I was really excited when I finally got my hands on the R36S. I'd watched a ton of videos about it, and I couldn't wait to jump back into some classic retro games. But when it finally arrived, complete disappointment. I pressed the power button. No sign of life whatsoever. At first I tried to stay optimistic. Maybe the battery was just completely dead. So I plugged it in, left it charging for about an hour or two, and tried again. Still nothing. Not even the slightest hint that the device was working. At this point, I started questioning everything. Can this thing even boot without a working SD card? Or did I just receive a completely dead handheld? So I ordered a new micro SD card, inserted it, and basically prayed that the device would finally come to life. But no miracle happened. Nothing changed. And by that point, I was completely out of ideas. So I did the only thing left to do. I had no choice but to ask the seller to send me another unit, which meant I had to wait another 4 days. So I'll see you guys in 4 days. Finally, the package arrived. At first glance, it looked exactly like the previous one. Same design. Alright, let's see if this one actually works. Power button. No way. It booted up immediately. So yeah, that pretty much confirms the first unit had some kind of problem. While I was learning more about the device, I came across a video comparing genuine R36S consoles with counterfeit ones, and that immediately sparked my curiosity. What if mine was fake? At first, I thought there was no chance. But then, oh boy, I probably should have looked into this sooner, because it turns out I may have bought a complete knockoff. Here's where things started getting suspicious. In the comparison video, the creator explained that genuine units should have 2 RAM chips sitting side by side on the motherboard. So naturally, I took a closer look through the transparent shell. And nope, only 1 RAM chip. That was the first major red flag, but it didn't stop there. Take a closer look at the buttons. They do have the correct recessed design. But then there's the X button. Look at the printing. It looks sloppy. The lettering isn't sharp at all and feels much cheaper compared to what you'd expect from an authentic unit. And then came the biggest clue of all, Wi-Fi. I spent way too much time trying to get Wi-Fi working on this thing. I tried different settings, different networks, pretty much everything I could think of. Nothing. At some point, I started wondering if the Wi-Fi hardware was even there, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the manufacturer simply removed it to cut costs, because that's exactly the kind of thing you'd expect from a cheap knockoff handheld. But then again, for $28, I probably shouldn't expect much more than a knockoff handheld console. So let's put that aside for now, because what I really want to know is whether this thing is actually as bad as people say. And more importantly, can it run Minecraft? Before we get to that, I wanted to take a quick look at the hardware. Unlike a desktop PC where you can easily swap parts and inspect everything, most of this handheld specs are already printed right on the box. But let's go through them anyway. The device is powered by a Rockchip RK3326. This chip is commonly found in budget handhelds and older mobile devices. Performance-wise, it's not exactly cutting-edge hardware. Alongside that, we get 1 GB of DDR3L memory. There's also a 3.5-inch display with a resolution of 640 by 480 pixels. And then there's the Wi-Fi situation. According to the box, this thing supposedly supports both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Sounds great, right? Well, I couldn't get Wi-Fi working at all. And honestly, I still don't know whether it's user error, a hardware issue, or just another sign that this might be a clone unit. I even plugged in a USB Wi-Fi dongle to see if I could get any kind of wireless connection working, but nope, nothing happened. It simply refused to work. At this point, I was starting to get worried because every tutorial I found for installing Minecraft on this handheld required an internet connection, and that was becoming a serious problem. I was beginning to think there was a real chance I wouldn't be able to play Minecraft on this thing at all. Now, to be fair, the device already comes loaded with a bunch of retro games. But that's not why I bought it. I bought it for one reason: Minecraft. While digging deeper, I discovered that some people were able to get internet working by sharing a connection from an Android phone directly to the handheld. So I figured it was worth a shot. I grabbed an Android phone, connected it to the console using a USB-C cable, and enabled USB tethering. In theory, that should have given the handheld internet access. But when I went into the Wi-Fi settings, something really strange happened. The option would instantly turn itself back off every single time. It was almost like the feature had been deliberately disabled. And at this point, this felt like my last chance. The last door that might lead to Minecraft. But instead, it felt like that door was slowly closing right in front of me. After spending what felt like forever searching for solutions, I finally found a YouTuber who claimed he had managed to install Minecraft without needing an internet connection. And let me tell you, I was very excited because unlike most of the tutorials I had seen before, this one actually worked. The guy successfully got Minecraft running on his device, which meant I had one job: follow every single step exactly and hope for the best. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the installation process because it's honestly pretty boring, but the basic idea is that you need the game files ready on your PC first. Then you copy the entire system data folder into the correct directory structure on the handheld's micro SD card. Once all the files are transferred, the device can detect the game and launch it through a tool called Portmaster. And as you can see from his video, he got it working. So after carefully following all the same steps, double-checking everything along the way, I finally reached the moment of truth. The installation was complete. And now, it's time to find out whether this tutorial is actually going to save me. Oh my god, it actually launched. The game was loading, the menu appeared, and for a brief moment I genuinely thought I had done it. Then, oh shit, crash. Straight back to the menu, just like that, gone. At first I was completely confused. I went back and checked everything again. The files were in the right place. The installation steps were correct. As far as I could tell, I hadn't missed a single step. So what was going on? For a moment, I thought maybe I had made some stupid mistake somewhere along the way, but then I realized something that completely changed everything. The YouTuber who made the tutorial was testing on a genuine device, not a knockoff like mine. And when he later tried the same installation on a clone unit, similar to the one I bought, the exact same thing happened. The game crashed immediately, just like mine. And at that moment, everything finally made sense. The problem wasn't the installation. The problem wasn't the files. The problem was the handheld itself. I can't even describe how frustrating that felt. After all the troubleshooting, all the waiting, all the failed attempts, I was right back where I started, and honestly, I was beginning to hate counterfeit products. After digging through forums and error logs for a while, it started to look like this handheld was missing some required runtime files. More specifically, it seemed to be missing Java Runtime Environment 8 and Java 17. To put it simply, these runtimes act like translators, allowing the system to understand and execute the game's code. So naturally, I went searching for them. But there was one problem. JDK8 is ancient, and finding a version that actually works with this setup was much harder than I expected. The deeper I looked, the more dead ends I found, and eventually, I ran out of ideas. At that point, I decided to give up on the fancy Java version of Minecraft and try something much simpler, Minecraft PSP Edition. I knew it would be a huge downgrade, fewer features, simpler graphics, far less content, but none of that mattered anymore. At least it had a chance of running, or at least that was the plan. After finishing the installation, I went looking for the executable and prepared to launch it. And then, oh my god, the handheld crashed instantly. Not after loading, not after showing a menu. The moment I tried to open it, crash again. At that point, I just sat there staring at the screen. After everything I had tried, this was probably one of the most memorable failures I've had in a long time. Maybe I simply didn't have enough experience. Maybe there was a solution I couldn't find. Either way, this handheld completely defeated me. So if you know how to fix this problem, let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy watching ridiculous budget builds and questionable tech experiments like this one, click the video on screen right now. I'll see you there.